Hi guys, welcome back to the Vash. What we're doing today? Today we're going to make some new engine plates on the front. They need to be a bit longer to tie the supercharger in. But before that, let's just say a big thank you to all and all my new subscribers, because we had another 50 new subscribers just from the video. So I feel obliged, like to do some more on work on this. It's quite inspiring, actually. So thank you very much. It's well appreciated. If there's anything you want to know in particular, just leave a comment and I'll try to reply to it. So the supercharger, here he is. It's another shorrock. It's from the 1950s. And it's if you have a look at one of my other videos, it's called Supercharging by Shorrock, because I've got another one of these units on my other bike, on the Triton, and I dismantle it and give it a service and talk a little bit about how it functions and how it operates inside, all the veins and everything like that. So if you want to see what it looks like on the inside, I'll dismantle it and assemble it again. So you show you how to do that. And have a look at some of the other videos as well if you like. So the few problems that you got with this is that this mounting boss here is not in using the same center as this one. It is offset by about 3/4 of an inch. These two circles here are offset, so that makes it slightly more difficult, like to make the plates. So we're going to hang this thing here somewhere, but it's where do you start when building specials? Because you have to prop it up on a few bits of wood and so on, but then you need to start measuring it. So sometimes you have to build some dummy plates, or you get halfway there. You could also make them in like a 3mm aluminium. It cuts a lot quicker, and you can shape it a lot quicker, like just to get a basic idea. So that is sometimes what I do. I'll make it out of thin aluminium. So much easier to get the shapes. It works a lot quicker. Obviously, it's not strong enough, but it's strong enough to just hold things. And then you can use them to copy it out. So again, one thing what we need to do here. So this unit's going to come here. Also, later on in the video, I'll talk a bit about how you line your shafts up, because they all have to be parallel to them, around your axis, and how you do that when you start building specials and you start making your own engine plates. So we'll come back to that. To a few bits and pieces how you do it. You start by setting your back wheel parallel to the frame, or to a given point that is for sure at right angles with your frame, and find the center line of your frame as well. This frame it's a symmetrical frame, so it's just as wide on the left as it is on the right. Some frames are not, because of the chain, so you have to sort of, look for the center of your frame and see where it is, and then we'll come back to that later. So but first of all, we need to hang this, and one of the things I need to check, because is the height. When you're building specials, I'm have to put this down before it falls off, like that. When you're building specials, this one here, obviously, because the ground clearance, when he's on the ground, he's only about that far off the ground, the bottom frame tubes. Now the supercharger is coming in the front here. What you need to do is you need to check the forks. What I normally do, and if you're building race bikes, especially with 19-inch wheels, with big wheels like an old Triton and stuff like that, is what you need to watch out for is when the forks go on full suspension, that say with a race bike, that your exhaust here, that it clears the mudguard, or the mudguard doesn't fill the frame, because it can get really close. And normally you would not get that close, but say you're in a panic, you put a lot of front brake on, or you hit a pothole or whatever, totally on the end of the travel, you just want to make sure it doesn't jam against your frame, your exhausts. Now, with this one, obviously, we've got loads of room here. Nothing will hit it. But my ground clearance, that is something I need to check. So what we'll do, so sometimes we got, these are some other old supercharger plates. And it was for another supercharger. But I shaped them, and we got these two little holes here. It's on these little studs. What is good enough to get them to hang, but it's the mounting holes are here. You should not hang it on these little things. That's just the end cap bolts. But just to get started, you know, so these are temporary. So we'll mount the supercharger onto it. Then we put the bike on the floor. We'll take the springs out, and then we'll lower them to the deck. And then have a look. Oh, we still got some ground clearance. It is just when something stupid happens, you put a load of brake on or whatever. If the frame touches the floor, you lose all your steering, and you know, you'll crash. So, and then afterwards, when you put the springs back in again, even if the springs become coil bound, they will never quite travel up so much as you did the test without the springs. So that's how I do it with all the race bikes, just the same. Just take the springs out, lower them all the way down, and I just see that everything clears. You know, you could do it with, if you got rear suspension, you could do the same with that. If you're building a chop or a special bike, your mudguard clearance, you know, take one of the springs of the shockers and just mount the shock absorber units and just push the swinging arm all the way up, and just see like that none of your bolts are eating your tire away inside your wheel arch, or your chain will clear, and stuff like that. That's how you make a good build, you know. So right, I'll bring you back when we temporarily put these on. We'll put them on the floor, and then we'll have a look how low it gets. All right, we'll see you in a bit. We got it hanging on the old plates. As you can see, this is all quite convoluted. It would need too many spacers. It doesn't look right, so that's why they are temporary. So we're going to extend these inner plates. We're going to put an air. We need a bit more material here, and then these little bolts here, they are the end cap plates. The proper mounting holes are here. So we need to use these. We can't use them. But it's hanging, and we'll just alignment, you know. So basically, you want to get it hanging first. Have your plates a bit too wide, so then you can shift it in and out to get your alignment for your pulleys and stuff like that. Now, of course, I'm still fabricating the pulleys, and I can play with the position of the pulleys a little bit as well. So, this is one of the old bosses I made for my Triton, for the other bike, for the other supercharger. It's a tapered hole. But for checking alignment, what I use is this. It's extrusion. You can buy it in your DIY shop. Extrusion by nature it is very straight. Check it against another piece, you know, obviously, but it's really lightweight, and it's much easier as a ruler, so you can do it one-handed, you know. So I'll pull that against the flat here. And then we can come and have a look here. You see the little gap is pretty parallel. There's still a bit of movement on the screws there, but that's how you do it. You know, how you check your alignment. Same here for the engine. You know, you can hold it against your sprocket and go and have a look there. You know, he's right on the edge there. You know, so see, you can do it one-handed because obviously I'm holding the camera in my other hand. So that makes it quite easy. You can do it for your rear chain. You know, handy little things. Right. Next thing is we'll lift them off the bench and check the ground clearance and take the springs out of the forks. That's what I'll do now. Before we do that, because these are the plates that we are going to use. There's another little job I have to do. Right, so they go here. It's just mark how high they come. So it's just for future reference when we take these other ones away. After we bolted it down on the new inner plates, it still ends up, you know, where it should be. Because I have checked it before, but it's a few years ago that I worked on this. Because we moved to France, and I've got lots of other projects on the go as well. So I have to sort of refresh my memory where I left off. You know, because it's been a while that we did any work on this. So let's just mark the height here, just with a bit of tape for now. So let's see if we put a ruler on there. So too high. Go. I'll just have to remember it. Oh yeah. That's just a little future reference. I might not need it, but better safe than sorry. There, I'll do. Take the fork springs out now. Front forks, they're Yamaha actually. And I was hoping when I looked them up that they were at least going to be over 250. They're not. They're off a 125. But that's how it was built originally. It's all to save weight, but this is taking it slightly to the extreme. They're only 32 mil stanchions. And Yamaha, in their wisdom, if they only would have put these bosses 1 millimeter further back, you could get these out without taking the handlebars off. But we can't, so we'll have to take them off. That off. Right, I'll rig it up to lift them up, and then I'll bring it back. Right, we're ready to lift the bike. The winch is actually in the attic through the trapdoor. Right, just lift them up and get them off the crate. Lower them to the ground. Slacken the cable. All right, a little bit. As you can see, you see how low he sits. You know, that's the ground clearance. So it's a super low bike. I'll try to get it all in. So there we go. So we just got to make sure that we got enough ground clearance on the supercharger when the springs come all the way down. So we took the stops out, so the springs will come through in a minute when I lower them down, and then see how far we get. I think it's half an inch. Right, let's see. Oh, that's still correct. Okay, that's it. Is all the way down. Let's see what ground clearance have we got. At its lowest point, what is the sump plate here? We got half an inch. And we got plenty of clearance here, so we're okay on the supercharger. So it was actually the sump plate. That is the very lowest part of the bike. You can't see it from there. Yes. Well, I would say it's more 10 millimeters rather than a half an inch. What could we get under there? 8 millimeter rod. Yeah, that passes underneath it. That looks like half inch. There's a sump plate. So it is. Yeah, I would say 10 millimeters. That is the worst case scenario, but that is without any springs. So if it become coil bound, it won't quite come that as low. So and also because of the extreme angle of the forks, it's 50 degrees apparently. When it's on full lock, it makes quite a lot of difference than to when the wheel is straight. So when he's straight, the forks pointing straight forward, this will come up a tiny bit, but I don't know. Let me just turn the camera upside down. Here we go. Ah, yeah, there we go. That is the ground clearance that we got. This tiny little bit there. So, okay. So that test is complete. Right, we can put them back on the table and start making the plates. So I did check it years ago, but I just had to convince myself that it was correct. So you'll see when I straighten the forks, this is extreme. This is full lock all the way down. But when I straighten the forks, it'll come up a tiny little bit. So that is the worst case scenario. Well, not quite, because when the springs are in it, it's slightly higher than that. So that is good for that test. Right. Let's give you a, I'll jack them up a bit. Slide these forks back out again. There we go. Level this side. Right, so that is this riding position. See what it looks like from the back. There we go. It's very low. Right, let's get him back on its on his box, and then we carry on working. Right. So we added a bit of cardboard on this plate, but it needs to be copied out on the inner plate, because that's the one we want an extra air and another extra bit of material here for 2 bolts, so that the drive plate, no, it's the jacket, so we can have 2 bolts holding the supercharger on, and once we got it hanging, then we can experiment left and right, sort of not with the plates. Oh yeah, so yeah, with the plates, to bring the drive in line. This is off my other supercharger. It's I changed it to a spline shaft on the other one, because he runs on 2 outrigger bearings. So but I can use this, but we don't need the whole front piece. I'll machine that off, and it's a bit too heavy anyway, and we'll trim it, so make it a bit lighter, that goes on there, and then we can experiment a little bit with the drive line, because you want your drive line, your pulling power, you always want it as close to the bearings as possible. Now of course, the supercharger, it takes a little bit of horsepower, but not too much. But more for the engine sprocket for your primary drive. You want to keep it inboard to your bearings, otherwise it just, it tends to twist the crank or your main shaft in your gearbox. That's why for drag racing, people still prefer a single chain more than a triple chain, because it moves the center of the pull slightly outwards. If you put a wide belt drive on it, it's in the middle of the belt, so it moves the pulling force even further out, and then you start needing to have outrigger bearings and stuff like that to stop your shaft from flexing too much. So inboard, as close to the bearings, it's much stronger. So but we'll, as soon as we got them hanging on the 2 bolts, then we can shift them about, so we set it up parallel first, and then we can play a little bit with it, where exactly, if I run out of space here, well, I can completely adjust it on the pulleys I'm making for this. And normally it runs on 2 V-belts. Well, I thought this may be a fancy idea to use a timing belt, because it's a 4-chamber supercharger. Each time he pushes a charge out of the outlet, I could time it with the valve opening, or I can let him build up a pulse of pressure, and then the valve opens. And but then I'm stuck with a ratio 1-to-1, obviously. But that's normally what we run them at, is 1-to-1. But you could overdrive it, and then but that's also why you got the plenum chamber. And you got the plenum chamber is because sometimes when the valves are shut, he's still pushing a charge in, and it's like an expansion space. It is just somewhere for the pressure to go, and it can build up. As soon as the valve opens, it's in there. So we just need an extra bit of material here for the 2 bolts that will go through there and there. And we need to have some spacers on the inside here. I like to use inch spacers. They don't have to be inch, but if we go for inch, because we need a tiny bit of clearance on the frame, and we need a tiny bit of clearance on the inside here on the supercharger. So if I look over it, then I can see where that's going to be. We want to get it as high up as we can, but we need to miss the supercharger. It's just that's rudimentary for the moment. It's just to give us an idea where it might end up. There, and the other one would be about there. We get there with this. Yeah, we would. I'll put a ruler in between. Oh, how much more is this? Not much. That's about right. Yeah. That is going there. And then the other one can go about there. Yeah, that looks quite nice. And we've got about a 5-inch spread between the two bolts. That is good. And then once we got them hanging, I'll probably brace 2 little supports here on the frame, and then he gets another bolt here, and then he's got 3 bolts. That is well tied in. All right, I'll bring you back when I take it all off, and then hopefully, because we only got 1 plate, because we're in France and everything's metric here, and the inner plates, they're imperial. And as it happens, I have got an old plate. It's got a few holes in it. Let's just hope that we can jiggle the pattern around so we're missing all the old holes in the old plate, but it's the same thickness as these. Here in France, I either could get 8mm or 6mm plate. And then I run into trouble with the engine mounts here. I would have to use 8mm plate and then mill it in one spot. Things get complicated here, but let's just hope that the old plate what I've got, it's the right thickness. Hopefully we can miss there's got a few holes in it, that we get past all the holes. So right, so this is just a rough shape for now, to make the blanks, and then we come to how we properly transfer these holes nice and parallel. We get to that after I cut them out. All right, I'll dismantle it and I'll bring it back. Because also these plates, so they're not staying. You know, it's only just temporarily to hold the supercharger up. Right, we got the plates off. So our new plate is going to be a combination of these two. You know, that's also why I didn't like this plate. He's only got 2 of the engine bolts. This one uses all of them, all the way around the engine, so it's much stronger. So let's mark it out. We can cut that half around. We'll cut that little air off like that. When you're holding plates together, I'll show you properly how to do it later on. Don't use the bolts because the bolts got a bit of clearance. Use some pins that are actually, you know, tight in the hole so they don't move. But this is only just to cut the blank out. Afterwards, when you're making plates, and you've got 2, sometimes it's really handy to put 2 small set screws in it, you know, counterbore it. Put 2 small set screws in it. Then each time you're working on the plates, you screw them together with the set screws with a countersunk, and then they always line up. You know, so you don't just rely on the holes, and then any more drillings you do, then you know that everything is absolutely perfectly parallel with the other plate. All right, so let's yeah, and then have a look at the Supercharged Triton, the other video. He is far more complicated than this, all the engine plates and the transmission plates, because also the engine is hollow dowel. So we go in here with a little boring bar on the drill. We put it back and we make the hole slightly larger and then go into the engine a tiny little bit as well, and we put some hollow tubes in them, press like little bushes into them, and then the bolt runs through the middle of that, so the plates don't move at all. That is because the other one, the Triton, the supercharger is solidly mounted to the cylinder head, so it becomes like completely one unit. And to build all the plates, you just to transfer the holes, look, you make various little pins to transfer holes, to measure centers from one to the other. You just make it as and when you need it, you know. These ones, that was to transfer the holes, for instance, the mounting holes for the plate onto the supercharger. So we bored these holes out. Again, we did it, what you saw in the other video, we did it on the little lathe, you know, with the boring head. That's how we machined these plates out and put a chamfer on them and stuff like that. So you screw these little things in, just make them with bolts, you know, well, till they're flush. Then you can put the plate on, give it a tap, and then you get a little center mark on the back, and then you can put a proper center mark in it, and that's how you transfer the holes over. But all right, let's just get back with this. So we've got to project this line here onto the cardboard. Let's see how we do that. I'll do this. Two angle blocks. Where's my line gone? So we don't need that. It runs parallel with that one. We'll do this one over here as well. This one here. We don't need this bit, so be careful. Chase that one. I'll have to go back on again. Right. Okay, this one. We got that one. We got that one. Let's go. So this is nothing. Right, so I just popped it on the template. So that's where it's going to be. It seems to be okay, you know. Just a little half round bit here underneath the tube. I'll make that as tight as possible. So that's why I put it back on again. And then we can have one bolt there, one bolt there. And so that should do it. It's tied in right up to the last bolt there. So it uses all of them, half of all the engine bolts, even the little one at the bottom. Yeah, that'll do. Right. Let's just see, or we get two of them out of the plate. Right. This is our horrible plate I was on about. It's a little bit beaten up, but I just measured it. The original plates are exactly 1/4 inch. This one, 5 thousandths over. It's hardly nothing. It's a weird size. So I can polish it, sand it, and get, I try to lose as much of the little knickknacks, and I'll polish it first, or at least, you know, get it clean before I cut it out. So because this wants to be a straight edge, we might as well use the edge of the plate here, because it's nice and straight. I think so. And then we can lose a little bit from the top here. That's why I cut 2 templates. It's much easier. I like to see, or I'm going to miss all the holes. But I think we can just about do it. There we go. Lose a little bit there, lose a little bit there. That's fine. And then, yeah, fantastic. The plate is just big enough.